Testing. 1, 2, 3. Let it be known that if you're feeling out of bounds, if you're feeling whack, or if you feel unsound, like you're under attack, then go to the theater, rest your back, and after that, welcome back to Backlit Cinema, the podcast. I'm your host, Zo, that's Z-O or Z-O, if you're outside of the U.S. It's the 109th episode. Thank you for downloading and streaming. We really appreciate it. I tell you my favorite parts of the movies that I love when I was growing up, and I give you Zach's insight on the movie we watched together, and we try to have some fun along the way. If you like what you're about to hear, then please tell your family, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, and tell your Uber or Lyft driver the next time you get a ride about how to tell them about our humble little show, Backlit Cinema, the podcast. So before I get into it, I just want to, I had a note that was given to me by a friend of the show, Troy. He's from Not a Bomb Podcast. He had actually wrote me this note a while ago, and I've been wanting to read it on the show, but I keep forgetting about it. But I remembered, and I put it in the show notes, so I'm going to read it real quick, and then we're going to continue with the show. So he wrote, super excited to hear your thoughts from Iron Eagle. I think a lot of people don't realize it came before Top Gun. While it's truly inferior to the Tom Cruise masterpiece, for all the reasons you stated, I still love this film. And it's primarily for a few reasons. The Goonies / Top Gun mashup, fantastic way to explain this movie. Louis Gossett Jr. at the top of his game, in my opinion. The soundtrack, one of the best Queen songs to come out of the 80s. Love the episode. Now I have to go back and watch this again and break out my record so I can listen to the soundtrack. And that's his letter. What's funny is that if you go on social media and you follow Not a Bomb Podcast, he has a picture of the album and talked about how he was going to listen to it. So that's exciting. I'm glad that there are people out there that are enjoying the show. Thank you so much. And let's continue. So, like in the previous weeks, this movie is slightly outside the normal format, as it's a movie that was released after the 90s, but Zach hadn't seen it before, so it was good enough. He was only 5, and it's not a movie that we would have taken him to anyways. So I just want to lay that out there before we get started. And I also want to let you know, if you've been watching your social medias, then you know, because I didn't mention it the last time, but if you've been watching the social medias, I put it out there that we was going to have a special guest this week. This guest is a very talented actor. She's an influencer. She's a gamer. And you can look for her and find her on Rosie Talks Movies and everything in between from the Movie Lovers Unite podcast stream. She also is a co-host of Movie Lovers Unite. And as you remember, we had one of our guests was from Movie Lovers Unite. And you can also find her on her brand new show, Rosie's Clubhouse, that's going to be streaming soon on Twitch. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for my next guest, the lovely, the amazing, the punctual Rossie McCree.
Hello, everyone. Hello. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here, Alonzo.
Thank you for coming. I really appreciate you being here. It's going to be exciting. I'm excited to have you here. It's always exciting to have guests in the house. It's always exciting when I could just, because before it was me and Zachary doing a podcast, and then our schedules didn't match up. So I was doing a podcast by myself. And, doing a podcast by yourself can be lonely sometimes. I want to have some friends over, have a party.
Yes.
And
right.
What's really exciting about you as a particular guest is that I gave you the grand list of movie. It's a living document that, you have to watch it because it is itself kind of like a beast in its own right.
Yes.
And it had a list of movies, and you chose a movie that you had never seen before, and that's always exciting. And you're around Zach's age, so it's almost like having Zach on the show. So I find that to be truly thrilling to talk about a movie that you hadn't seen before.
Right.
And
yeah.
So the movie that we are going to talk about, and I'm going to give you its French title, Le Pacte de Loup. And you might have heard of it in its limited U.S. release, Brotherhood of the Wolf. So we're going to come back. We're going to talk about Brotherhood of the Wolf right after this. And we're back to talk about Brotherhood of the Wolf. Let me just give you briefly about what it's about. What I like about this is that we just seen Cocaine Bear. Rossie, did you see Cocaine Bear?
No, John told me about it, though. It's a true story, right? Just kind of like how Brotherhood kind of true?
Sort of kind of based on a true story.
Okay.
The true part is that a bear found huge packs of cocaine that fell from the sky. It ate all the cocaine. And that's the only true part of the movie.
Okay.
That's the only true part. And the bear died, but you can still see its taxidermied body somewhere. It's in a museum somewhere. But yeah, and similar to, actually in this movie, Brotherhood of the Wolf, it's more, they got more true elements in it. Yes. They've added some fantastical elements, obviously, but there's a lot more true in this movie. For example, I'll mention it later on in the trivia, or one of us will, that all of the people except for one character is actually real.
Right.
And so they just basically took these characters and they kind of mixed them up. And in the Cocaine Bear movie, I don't think any of those people were real.
Right. Second. There we go.
So
I have to see that because it's like it's a comedy, right? The Cocaine Bear, right?
Yeah, it's a comedy. It's actually fun.
I've seen some snippets from it. So yeah, it looks crazy.
Right.
Yes.
It's crazy. It's funny. The only complaint that a lot of people had was that there wasn't a lot of Cocaine Bear in it. Like they wanted to see more Cocaine Bear. Okay. And I think that some people didn't think it was as funny as they should have been, or that they weren't all that interested in the human stories that are being told. Okay. So those are the main complaints about the movie. But me and Zachary really liked it. I think Zachary liked it way more than I did. He definitely had a ball. But so like Cocaine Bear, this movie is based on historical events in the region of Gevaudan of central France in the mid 1700s. This is a tale of a beast that stalks and kills people, mostly women and children, with cunning and viciousness, known as the Beast of Gevaudan. This creature eludes capture by the French army, killing dozens of people for years. King Louis XV sends his royal naturalist, Grégoire de Fronsac, and his Iroquois companion Manny to investigate and assist the army. When Fronsac finds his I'm messing up that part. What Fronsac finds is court intrigue and a deeper mystery. You know, I wrote this myself, you know. And this is just to show you that I can mess up my own writing.
You're not doing bad, though. I'm happy that you're pronouncing all that and going through that. So I appreciate that.
Giving it my all.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, there are a couple of people that listen in France, so I'm trying to make it right for them. So if you can let us know about like the release date and whatnot, the box office.
Yes. So it was released July 25th of 2022. It was produced by Metropolitan Film Export Canal Davis Films. It grossed about over 11 million in the US and Canada, over 70 million worldwide on a $29 million budget. So 70 million worldwide on a $29 million budget. They made a lot of money off of this film.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that I didn't hear about this film at the time that it came out.
Right. It didn't do bad. Well, first it came out in 2002, not 2020.
Okay.
Okay. That's probably one reason.
Did I say 2020? I'm sorry, 2002.
Right. It's not your fault. It also had a very limited release. Like it was only released in some theaters. So it wasn't exactly a wide release. That's why it's amazing how much money it made in the US. It was released in France. This is a foreign language, foreign film.
Okay.
So it was you know, it was a French production. It was released in France and then is like basically an import. So, and it's funny how I heard about this film. It was just like people talking about it. It's like, yeah, man, what is about that movie? Because we did get trailers and it was like, well, it was actually even a little bit spoiled for me, but I think that was back at the time I didn't mind spoilers too much, particularly about movies I didn't know about. I was like, yeah, that Mark Dacascos character, man, that dude is awesome, man. He's like really fight. It's like his martial arts is on point. And the guy said, yeah, but he dies. I was like, man, that's messed up. He dies. The other dude ain't doing nothing. Like, no, the other dude, he be fighting. I was like, okay, I got to see it then. I got to see. Right. I got to see Mark Dacascos and the other dude fighting. Right. So I originally thought that Mark Dacascos, this was like when I was writing the notes for this movie, I thought that this was the first movie I seen him in. But then I realized this is not the first movie I've seen him in, and I was a fan of him for a long time for one particular movie, and we're going to get to that in a second.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yes.
So this movie was starring Samuel Le Bihan, and he played Grégoire de Fronsac. Yes. And he's been in Frontiers, The Colors Red, Mizraim, Public Enemy, #1. And if you haven't heard of those movies, it's because they're all French.
Okay. When I saw him though, I thought for some reason, because when you see a lot of the characters in this film, some of them you do recognize. But with him, for some reason I was thinking Outlander, and it's not Outlander. Maybe he's built and some of the things he's doing with the sword reminded me of Outlander, but he's not from Outlander, but the fighting scenes and the karate scenes and all that was just awesomely done. He
reminded me of Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
Who's that?
Hunter Hearst Helmsley is a professional wrestler. He now, well, at least up until recently, he was running the WWE after he retired from wrestling.
Okay.
He actually married, I guess you know Vince McMahon?
Yeah, yep.
He married Vince McMahon's daughter. And that's how he basically inherited the company, at least in my opinion. Like, I don't think that he would be running the company had he not married Stephanie McMahon.
Right. I can see that.
But, actually, right now he goes by Triple H. That's what they call him now.
Oh, okay. I know of him. Okay.
Right. But when he first came out, Triple H actually stands for Hunter Hearst Helmsley. And when he first came out, he came out as like an aristocrat, like American blue blood. And, somebody who would not stain himself to, like fly commercial or drive in a Honda Civic or something like that. He was an uppity upper class. At least that was the character he played. Okay. And then later on, he got all grimy with, D-Generation X and whatnot. Grégoire de Fronsac, as played by Samuel Le Bihan. I think it's Bihan. Right. That actor, Samuel. Right. So that
that actor.
So as far as his looks and his mannerisms reminded me of Triple H.
Okay.
So who's next on the list?
We have Mark Dacascos, and he plays Manny, and we've seen him in a lot of stuff. He's well known. And I thought this was Jeremy Renner. And I was like, Jeremy Renner's not in that, but it's Jeremy Renner.
Right.
And he plays Marquise Thomas de Apacho.
Right.
And then we have Emily DeQueen. And she plays Marianne, of course, his love interest, Grégoire Fronsac. And then we have Vincent Cassel, who we all know. You have The Swan, you have that was really good. Monica Bellucci, she plays Sylvia. She was in The Matrix Reloaded, Shoot 'Em Up. And Jacques Perrin, who plays Thomas of Apture. And he plays in Z, or the Chorus Cinema Paradiso.
Yeah.
So he's new to me. Yes. So, and then the directors were pretty interesting.
Right. You didn't have to read all of that. Only the highlighted parts. I'm sorry. I forgot to explain all of that. But yeah, just the highlighted parts.
Okay. I'm reading all of it. Okay.
Right. But you're good. I love that. So
thank you.
Yeah, go ahead and tell us about the director.
Okay, so it was directed by Christophe Gans, and he did the Crying Freeman, La Belle et la Bête, Beauty and the Beast, 2014, and Silent Hill, which is like, I didn't know he did Silent Hill. That was pretty cool.
Not only had he done Silent Hill, but apparently he's going to produce Silent Hill. I think they're going to call it Silent Hill 2, or maybe it's Silent Hill the sequel.
Okay.
He's making another Silent Hill film. I think he wants to.
Wow.
What's the word? He wants to give himself another chance, I guess.
Okay, because of that, yeah. I think that made it on my worst or something like that on the video game.
That was one of the movies you talked about.
That was one that I talked about. Yeah. And I explained why. And thank you when you sent me the email for your picks of the video games that you liked and ones that weren't on the list. So I appreciate it.
Right.
Yeah, you had a whole bunch, and I was like, why didn't I think about those games?
Right. But the number one thing I thought of was Mass Effect. I desperately wanted to see Mass Effect as a movie.
Right.
I can't wait for them to produce.
Right. I totally forgot about that. Right. Mass Effect. Yes.
And then the thing that I really liked about the show that you did was you had mentioned, what's that movie? Blood Rain. And I love that game. I think there were two of them. Yes. I think I played both games, and I just love the concept of a vampire killing Nazis. And for some reason they didn't do that in the movie, and that was massively disappointing to me.
Thank you. I was like, what is this movie about? Like, I don't know this story, but yes, I was very surprised by that. But the game 1 and 2 were both good. They were both really good. Yes.
I was like, because when I watched the movie, it's like, I didn't want to see this. I wanted to see a vampire killing Nazis in World War II. That's what I wanted to see.
Thank you.
It's like,
exactly.
Her origin is trash, and nobody wanted to see that.
No, not at all. But you noticed that it had like well-known actors in Blood Rain.
Yeah.
Yes. It had,
Michael, what's his name?
It was Billy Zane. I can't think of the other ones, but I know that Billy Zane was in there, and a host of other well-known established actors that U-Bowl got to be in those films.
I can't remember his name, but it's Michael something, and he's been in a lot of Quentin Tarantino films. And the problem I have with him is that he's great when he's in his lane. But, you put him in a period piece where he has to do like an English accent, it's not going to work.
Right. Michael Madsen.
Yeah, Michael Madsen.
He played Vladimir, and Ben Kingsley played Regan.
Right.
And Billy Zane played Victor. Sorry, I had my notes from the
that's awesome.
Game. Yes.
So, and everybody else, they can do a passable English accent, but Michael Mann cannot. Like, he just sounds like he's just reading his lines, right?
Right. But the fact that he like you got him in the film at that time. Remember, he was, well known, Michael Madsen. So to get for U-Bowl to get him in those films, that was pretty interesting. But man, they just missed the mark.
Right.
Yeah. Didn't do the game justice.
No, it did not. And but now it's starting to turn around. It's like when you start to take video games seriously, you can get some good product out of it, right?
Absolutely. Look at The Last of Us. I mean, that was amazing.
I mean, I would put a lot of people are saying like The Last of Us, like that's kind of what started it. But I would go back to at least the Pokemon movie, and there was another movie that they did. I can't remember. I even like the Resident Evil movies. I thought those were good.
Some of those were all right. I think I like 3 or 1 or one of them. My problem was, everyone wants to see the mansion.
Right.
So when they go just fully hard on Umbrella and all of that, it kind of like, okay, we get that, but what about the mansion?
Right.
And then it's like, how much can you do with opening doors? You know what I mean? Like you literally are opening doors, but they're not bad. The series wasn't bad. The only problem I had with the series on Netflix is they call it Resident Evil because when you play it, when you watch it, you hear, they throw Umbrella in there.
Right.
But really, I'm like, this is good if they just named it something else. Because the series is really good. It shouldn't have been called Resident Evil.
Right. I agree that there was there are a lot of properties that are misnamed.
Yes. So whatever that was, it was good. I did enjoy it. Yes.
So to continue along, back to the movie.
Okay.
This movie was written by Stefan Cabal and Christophe Gans. So Cabal had written he had written the Clearstream Affair and the Stone Council and the Astronaut.
Wow.
Gans basically just wrote this movie and no, I'm wrong. He wrote a bunch of screenplays. He wrote this movie, but he wrote screenplays for a movie called The Necronomicon, Book of Dead, and Crying Freeman.
Okay. Yep.
But he hadn't made a whole bunch of movies, but he has written for a couple of movies. I don't think he directed Necronomicon, or maybe he did. I can't remember, but he definitely did Crying Freeman. I've always wanted to see Crying Freeman because it's based on an anime and a Japanese comic book, but it was all the rage like 20 years ago. I just never got into it.
Okay. And the Book of the Dead, isn't that the Ash series? The what is it? The Evil Dead series?
Well, I don't know if this is related to Ash, but there is a Book of the Dead. It's not like Evil Dead made that up. That's the thing. Okay. So the Book of the Dead or the Necronomicon is based on like books of dead that archaeologists would find. Okay. So tell us about the music.
So the music is by Joseph LaDuca, and he has 104 composer credits to his name. 104 composer credits to his name. He did Army of Darkness, The Evil Dead, Diamond and Guns.
Yeah,
he composed those.
A lot of his music he composed for is all related to the Evil Dead series. Okay, so it's all of the Evil Dead movies plus maybe a couple of other projects.
Awesome.
A couple other side projects.
Right.
So that's it for the opening credits. If you're enjoying this show, please remember that you can get t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, face masks, jerseys, and more at our website, backlickcinema.com/shop. And I finally added some new designs. Finally. I know I've been promising new designs for a long time. Okay. All right. Full disclosure, I made one design. I added one design for a bunch of glasses. Rossie, would you like to see these designs?
Please, would you please let me see the designs so I can purchase them? I'm
about to share a website with you. Here's the thing, though. Regarding the confession, I didn't what you call it? What I wasn't trying to say. Like I say, it's one design, and I added these. I've been working on this design for like maybe a couple of months. It doesn't take a couple of months. Okay. There we go. Okay. You should be seeing it now.
Oh, there we go. Oh, you did that?
Yeah.
Those are really cool. Felix.
I'm glad you like it.
Yeah, that's old school. I really like that.
I'm glad you remember Felix the Cat.
Absolutely, I do.
I started to do Felix the Cat designs because cool. It's a public domain.
Okay.
And I just got access to, like, the website I'm using is they just started, the website I'm using for product. They just got a hold of glasses. So I designed some glasses.
Nice. Oh yeah, I like those.
So audience, I know you can't see this, but if you want to see it,
they look really good, guys.
Then go to backlickcinema.com/shop. Have you been watching The Mandalorian?
No, I haven't. I have not watched that yet. It's on my things to watch.
You know what? That's not the show I wanted to reference. Have you seen Andor?
No, I never even heard of Andor.
So Andor is a Star Wars
write this down.
limited series.
Okay.
It's on Disney Plus, obviously. Many people say that it is the best Star Wars that have come out since Disney took over.
Okay.
Like way better than the Mandalorian or the Clone Wars or like when I mean the Clone Wars, I mean the animated series. Like way better than anything. Okay. And the mug that you see right now, it says "The Tree Remembers," and this is based on something that somebody said in Andor. So if you have time, I know there's a lot of shows that you got to look at. Let me show you this last design. This is one of the earliest designs I did for the glasses. It's Are You Okay?
Are you okay? You have really, I like your designs, and I like the pint glasses. They look very nice. So I'll be getting me one. I see you got hoodies.
Yeah, hoodies, t-shirts.
Okay.
They actually got
I'll check it out.
Right. So as I said, audience, go and
Nice.
go to backlickcinema.com/shop. And you heard Rossie, I keep messing up your name, Rossie.
It's okay.
Go and you heard Rossie's ringing endorsement of the design. So go and check that out. And there's another thing that I had meant to do at the start of the podcast, and I'm going to stick it here. I meant to ask Rossie some questions, a bit of an interview. Now, my audience knows that I'm a trash at interviews, and I make no bones about it. You're not going to get no in-depth questions from me. And that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to give you a little bit of insight into Rossie, where she's from, what she's doing. It'd be a shame to just ask her to come on here and you not know nothing about her. She has a podcast and a Twitch show, but what do you know about her? Really? So Rossie, you are on Movie Lovers Unite.
Yes,
so
sir.
The first extremely obvious question I want to ask you is, how did you get together with everybody and form Movie Lovers Unite?
Well, when I came on to Movie Lovers Unite about probably 2 years ago, it was a channel that John had with some friends, and he had inboxed me because I was really acting at that time. I didn't do any podcasting, and he was like, "Hey, can I interview you for my podcast?" And so I interviewed with him, and after that, he invited me to do some top 10s. So we just started like that, and then a year ago, he asked me to be a permanent co-host on the show. And that's how I got involved with Movie Lovers. And so, but John did all that by himself, had the channel already built by himself. And then Alex and I ended up becoming co-host on a show, which was a lot of fun. So he taught me everything about podcasting. And so some of the movies that you all talk about, the Marvel universe and all that, I didn't watch those type of films. And so after I got with John, I start checking him out, which my husband really appreciates all of you guys that are doing that, because now he has a reason to sit and have me watch, like the Star Wars and all that. So you telling me about Andor, he's going to love it, because now I have to sit and watch his stuff. Because usually he's watching one of those films, I'm out,
Right.
Now watching them, I actually love the superhero films and learning a little bit like Moon Knight, I never knew who that was, and getting to know that world and where it's from. I'm learning a little bit more. So yeah, so I'm catching up with a lot of these movies that you all talk about, because you guys are really into like the Star Wars and all of that, and checking them out. I'm like, wow, I missed a whole genre of films because I was like, I don't think I'm going to be into that. So yeah. And then I got my spinoff with Rossie Talks and under the Movie Lovers umbrella, and then got another opportunity to have my own podcast in a studio. So that's where I'm at, guys.
Awesome. So
yes, thank you.
Since you weren't watching any of the more fantastical genres like science fiction or fantasy, what attracted you? What drew you? What movies were you watching?
I was watching, I love horror films. So I would sit up and watch anything horror film, whether it was box office or I love the indie horror films. That's my favorite. I love dramas. I'm a Saturday morning, get on Lifetime and just watch a bunch of Lifetime films. So, action films. I love action films. But when it got to fantasy, like I would do the Lord of the Rings, because that I love those type of films, the graphics, and being a gamer, it's kind of like, Morrowind or, movies that are close to fantasy like that. But when it got to the Marvel and I didn't read comic books. So it was just, if Batman came out, I'm going to watch Batman because I know Batman. But when you get to like Ant-Man and this person and that person, I don't know. I didn't know that. So I had to learn about Iron Man. And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. So my husband went like, okay, John has you watch this. So let me explain to you about, the Marvel universe.
Right.
But
right.
yeah, but I love horror films. I mean, the bloodier, the better. That's my favorite genre of movie.
Right. Does your husband
Yes.
watch horror films with you?
Absolutely.
Oh, awesome.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, absolutely. And so we got along with that. But like I said, when it came to those other your comic book films, because he's a comic book guy,
right?
I was like, I can do Batman and Superman, but I don't know about all this other stuff. And then he would, introduce me to that. And I'm like, well, I have to watch this for John. And so he's like, yes, let's start. And so we got Disney Plus and start watching those type of movies.
Right. I'm glad that you're able, like, just by chance, just by John calling you to appear on the podcast, that act has strengthened your marriage, and that's just a feel-good story.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Now you have
He's
more
very
conversation
pleased
with your husband.
Yes.
You can relate to him better now.
Yes, absolutely.
That's just great.
Yes.
So with the movies that you like, with the horror movies, I'm assuming that you have seen like Get Out and what's the other one?
Nope.
Nope. Yeah, that one. Yep. So are you excited about the direction that horror is going?
I really am. When was it Kai, what is it? What's his name that did the Nope and all that? That he was part of the Key and Peele, Peele,
Jordan
whatever.
Peele.
Jordan Peele. Yeah, when he came out with Get Out, and the way that horror film, which wasn't bloody, but just the mental part of a horror movie. I love that. Like, this guy is kidnapped, and the girlfriend's in on it, and her family has him down in the basement, and it was different. And so I couldn't wait to, when he came out with Us. So I was all in for the way that he does his horror films. So yeah, that was absolutely new for me, because I did the, like your Hellraisers, those type of horror films. But to get into the way that Jordan does it, it was a breath of fresh air.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yes.
I definitely like the way that Jordan does it, because not into slashers. I don't need to see all that blood. Like, I think the most horrible, not when I say horrible, I don't mean that it was bad. I mean, it was good. I mean, it was just horrifying to me. Okay. So the most horrifying movie that I ever watched was not Scream. What's the other one? Saw 2.
Oh,
so
yes.
I watched it. And I was in the Army, so we was in somebody's room and watched it on the small TV. And even on the small TV, watching it surrounded by a bunch of dudes, I was horrified watching that. It was like, yes. Turn it off, turn it off.
Yes, that was amazing. What a premise. What a premise. Yeah. That was awesome. And then, after that, you had a lot of other people doing that, those type of films. And so I was like, yes, bring it on. The Invitation, that was really good, so I did like Saw, and I've seen everyone. I didn't see the one with Chris Rock. I tried to, but he just took me out of it. It was he just took me. The acting was so bad, and I really wanted to get through it, but I probably lasted 15 minutes, and I said, I can't do it.
Right.
I just can't do it. He's taking me out from this film.
I was never really all into Chris Rock's so-called dramatic acting. He's way better at his comedies. And because it's like the first time I ever seen him do dramatic acting, or as close as he could approximate it, was in Lethal Weapon 5. And this is like when he was kind of new, right? He was an up-and-coming rising star, whatever. But it was just, to me, he was all right, but he wasn't. It was like, I would have preferred another actor in that role.
Absolutely. And that's what killed it for me, was that. And I was like, he's just not, I just can't do this with him, know?
Well, actually.
So it killed it,
Now that I think about it, he did do a good job in New Jack City. I think that's why he started getting more dramatic roles.
Yes.
And he was very good at that.
He did.
But I think it's only because he was more of he exaggerated. Right. So it was more, it was kind of a comic performance, but like it would have been funny if there were jokes involved, but there were no jokes involved. So he just kind of came off as a crazy person. So
kind of like in Fargo, when what was it? Fargo season 4, when Chris Rock was, when he starred in that, I tried to watch that because I loved all the Fargos, but with his, it was like, it's just, that's not him.
Right.
That's just not him. Him trying to be serious, it wasn't him. So yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't been watching Fargo, but yeah, that'd be like something I would want to check out just to see whether or not I'm right or wrong about his acting or whatever. But I like the movie. I just never got around to watching the TV show.
Yeah. The series is really good.
Yeah, I gotta check that out.
You gotta check out the series. Yes, right. But the movie was awesome. Yes.
So, one final question.
Okay.
As an actor, what kind of roles are you looking to play?
I really want to play more dramatic roles. I would love to do a dramatic love story. That's a role that I haven't gotten yet. You know, I played the last film I was in was called Hidden in Plain Sight. And that was a year ago. And I played this social media influencer, but that was going through, she was getting into politics. And so things that she thought it wasn't. So, and that was the movie about how she started at the beginning of the film, and you see her progression, learning about Black history here in Sacramento, where I live. And right. So, so it was a really good film, but I am definitely looking for a more gritty drama role.
Do you also do theater?
You know, I actually started out in theater. I did theater throughout high school. When I got out of high school, my first role was a independent film. But before I got that independent film, I did a play. And I did a couple of plays. I wanted to be a stage actress. When I did the film, I didn't realize, I like being in front of the camera. This is pretty cool. But my issue was I would project too much. And so I had to learn to take it down for the camera, you know, because I was just, you know, on stage, you got to project, and you got to, on a camera, you can be, have a crazy scene, but you got to bring it down for the camera. You can't go all out like on stage. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. And because the camera's right in your face, you're allowed to be subtle.
It's right there. Right.
As opposed to being on stage, you have to act for the guy in the balcony. Right. Okay.
Exactly. Right. Yeah.
And I imagine the makeup and everything is completely different.
Oh, absolutely different. Right. And I had to learn that, you know, I had to learn that, you know, on camera, you don't have to do a lot of that. And it took me a long time to show up for roles. And they're like, wait, you're playing, you know, you're going to be an audience member and the juror. You don't need to come in, pow, 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 pow.
Right.
I had to learn to do this.
Right.
Just come in like this, you know, you're a product. So come in, clean face, and they'll do what they want. So it took me a while to get it. And I finally figured it out and know the difference from camera makeup and makeup for stage. Right.
Yes. That's exciting. So, I lied. One more question.
Okay. All right.
Oh, what are the games you like to play?
Oh goodness. You asked me a question.
You don't have to list all of the games.
Okay. I won't. Okay. So, I love, role-playing games. That's my favorite. I just got Hogwarts. The first time that I've ever played a Harry Potter game. That's how good this game was. I'm like, I got to get it. I love shooters. I love a good shooter. I just got Chernobyl Light, and that's an awesome game. And I'm starting to find that I love survival horror games, or just survival games. Period. You know, World War Z. You know, things like that. So those are my favorite type of games.
Okay, that's So you like zombie action games, or do you fall on the more action side of the zombie action games, or more in the horror side of the zombie action games?
I like the action side, because after a while, when you play Resident Evil, you know, like how they went from the zombies to the village, where, you know, they look different. I get kind of bored with the whole zombie thing. I love the action zombie games.
Right.
Yeah. I can't think of the name of the game. The guy on the motorcycle that's in Oregon, and he has to fight. It's the first game that you fight a horde.
I think that's called Days Gone.
There you go. Days Gone.
I never played it,
games
but
like that.
I remember the cover of of the game from your description just now.
It's an amazing game. It is absolutely amazing. It's a lot of the horde is craziness. It's absolutely craziness, but it is a really good game. Like I would totally replay it.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that what you're playing right now, or what are you playing now?
I just finished that. So right now, if you I'm playing what is it? The Callisto Protocol. That one's kind of like, you know, the Dead Zone or Dead the one that just came out. So I'm playing that one, what's kind of connected to, there you go, Dead Space, which I also played when it came out. I'm playing the Ragnarok, God of War. I'm playing the Division 2. That's my first game that I've ever played online. And I didn't realize I like online play, and I'm having a great time with that. And then Hogwarts is just taking up a lot of my time right now. Like I'm up till 3:00 in the morning. They did an amazing job. Amazing. Right. So now I want to go back and watch the movies now.
My issue is that I feel like I don't have as much time as I want. So what I do is I concentrate on one game at a time. So actually it's like it's two games really, but one game where I'm just sitting down and playing it right now that one is Control. So with Control, it's related to Alan Wake, and I never played Alan Wake, but they talk about Alan Wake a lot in Control. And Control is neat because you're controlling a woman. She has telekinetic powers, and she has a mystical, like a supernatural gun. So that's fun. It's like it's got a nice story. It's kind of like the X-Files and maybe what's that other one? Fringe, something like that.
Okay.
So I like the mythology behind the game, and I like single player games. I like being by myself. Absolutely. Don't bother me. It's just me and this person on screen right here. Right.
right. I'm with you. The Control, I happened just to pick that up, and come to find out this is an award-winning game. It won so many awards. I put it on, played, and I'm having a blast with that. But I like to jump around because I get bored and I'm like, okay, let me do this and play this for a while. Then I jump back. Like I have so many Assassin's Creeds going on right now that I'm like, I'm going to finish this one. Then I'm playing this one. So yeah, I love to jump around. It depends on what mood I'm in.
Right.
I have 5 and 4 going PlayStations. I know, and then my husband's an Xbox gamer, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell the people about your where they can find you, your website, your social medias, any place, anything that you want, where you want people to know you.
Okay, well, you can find me on Instagram. I go hard on Instagram at Rossie McCree, or I'm sorry, at McCree123hotmail.com. And also on Facebook, you can find me on my Facebook page at Rossie Lynn. Just type that in, you'll find me. And you can find me on Twitter at Rossie Lynn Bark1.
Awesome.
And those are absolutely. Thank you.
I'll put all of those in the show notes.
Okay.
And you'll be able to follow her. So let us continue.
Yes.
Right after this, we're going to talk about our favorite parts of the movie.
Awesome.
All right, we're back. We're going to talk about our favorite parts. Now, here's something that I wanted to mention earlier. I usually like to take notes on the movies because my memory is trash. I'm over 50 years old, so it's hard to remember something sometimes. Even something that I just watched recently, I will have forgotten, major plot points or names, places, whatever. And when I take notes, it can take me back to the movie, get me back to the mindset so I can talk about it with some kind of knowledge and enthusiasm. But when I put this DVD in, I had forgotten that I could change the language. Like I saw the subtitles. I was like, oh man, subtitles. I'm not going to be able to take notes like I like to. So took very few notes on here. So I don't have, I'll try to remember as much as I can, but it's not a lot of notes. And then, but Zachary loves subtitles, right? So
okay.
But so I said, so that's why I didn't change it. It started off with subtitles. I was going to change it. It was like, well, Zachary's here. He loves subtitles because he watches a lot of anime and Japanese shows. Okay. And so after the movie, I was like, I figured out how to change turn the subtitles off and put it on English dub. And he was like, well, you could have did that. And I was like, well, you like subtitles. And he said, but yeah, for anime. But I still enjoyed the movie. I liked watching with subtitles because that's how I learned how all of these names and places were pronounced, or the proper pronunciation. I can come to a close approximation. I think I understood like 3% of what they were saying, because whatever they were saying matched up with the subtitles, and then some like residual French I knew from the English language, where some of what they said made sense. But obviously I could not get through the movie without subtitles.
Right. I didn't watch it with subtitles, but I remember being confused because I'm like, okay, it's dubbed over. And so I go and try to find another recording. That's when I was like, I'm going to watch this on YouTube. I go to YouTube. Okay, much clearer, but same thing. So I'm rewinding so I can know, okay, how do I pronounce that person's name, or what happened? But the film being a period piece, didn't you think the costumes and everything was just done like perfectly?
Yes. Oh man, that's what I have in my notes. Like, so the first thing you see is like that. What I first like is that brutal death. Like when the woman was running from the beast, and then she was just getting beat. Right. It's like it's like you think she was going to get dragged down. I was like, no, he's going to beat her against the rock with his maul. And I was like, oh my God, that was so brutal. And then the next scene is the two crazy people being chased by even like other crazy people, and then they come across the two main characters, and they're sitting on their horses, and the costumes that they wore, I'm like, yo, I want that. Now, my girth is too great for that to look good on me, but on someone like John DeCoscas, it was perfect. So when he started fighting in that getup, I was like, oh, that's just, and that's those are the costumes that you see on the cover of the DVD or in the movie posters or whatever. But man, those costumes were fantastic. And like all throughout the movie, it was just like great. Like
the women's dresses, from the veils on their face to their hair. And that's why I asked you, is this the right movie? Because the costumes, I'm like, I'm not sure if it's supposed to be 18th century, but it was. And everyone's costume was great. So you really like, it brought me into that world. So I really appreciate that. And I also found out that parts of it was shot at the there on scene, like in France at some chateau that they shot it at. So I appreciated that. And like I told you, the fight scenes were amazing when Manny, when he's with those the people in that town, when they get off their horses, and you have the one girl with the two guys, and they're just licking on each other and stuff. And I love when you first see Manny fight, and it's just, the fight scenes are awesome. Like they really took their time and did everything right with this film in 2002.
Yeah, Manny was fantastic. Now, I think what drew me to
great.
What drew me to it was that, like, when I saw the trailers, right? So, like, doing martial arts in period time, I'm like, I know this ain't right. But I'm gonna love this movie. It's like it's like they're mixing genres, basically. They're mixing genres, and I appreciated that mixture. And so you had a Native American doing, I think they're trying to pass it off as him doing his own martial arts, but I'm pretty sure Native Americans didn't fight like that. So,
No. I watched The Last of the Mohegans.
Right,
they weren't doing that. They weren't doing that. Okay? They weren't doing that. They weren't doing that.
So Manny, in the first fight, he's unarmed. Everybody else has like staffs or sticks or whatever. He's unarmed. And the first guy, he kicks and beats, and he takes his staff. Like, let me hold on to this for a second. I'm gonna need some help beating the rest of you people up.
Right. He tears every single one of them. Every one of them he takes down. So at that point, I'm like, I want to know more about this film. Like I'm invested at this point, because the costumes, everything, I'm like, okay, they did everything right, but like you said, it was mixed genres, because they weren't doing that, but I appreciate that they did that, because it made it even more interesting.
Right. Yeah. They could have easily messed that up. I will only say from Zach's part is that he didn't like a lot of the slow motion fighting. He didn't
really.
Yeah. He's not He's not
I
particular.
love that.
I'm not going to say I love it. I mean, I get where he's coming from. Like, I do love it when it's like it's flowing, like in a Jackie Chan movie. You can see the whole arc of the fight. But or like in a Jason Bourne movie where it's all intense and you have smart camera movements.
Right.
But in this movie, they went with the slow motion. And but I appreciate them all. But Zach would prefer the flowing type of fighting.
Okay.
But so that's all I'll say about that. But I still had a great time whenever Manny was fighting. It was exciting. It drew you into the movie. It's like, pay attention here. This is what you came here for.
and the cinematography, like you said, with the slow motion. I remember when that happened, I wasn't expecting that. And so when they did the slow motion, I thought, oh, that's fucking cool. That's awesome. I like that. And the cinematography, the way like if someone got off their horse, they would focus on the sound of the boots hitting the mud. And, so I appreciated different shots that they got, shots that you really don't think about, but, doing a film, those shots are important because it brings you into the film. So just hearing how the boots hit the puddle when they get off their horses, I'm looking at little things like that. So I appreciate the camera angles that they got, the bird's eye view in the beginning when the girl is being chased by the beast and he's beating the hell out of her against a rock and you're thinking that she's going to be dragged down, and it was just brutal. I rewinded that just to see it again. Like, wow, are you kidding me? Like, it was really brutal. It really was.
Yeah, that was pretty rough on for her.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Yes, it was for her. Absolutely.
So another thing that I really like was the overall story. Like, they could have just did a story about a beast going around killing people in France, but they didn't. They added a lot of intrigue. There's a sort of there's spoilers in this, by the way. I'm going to let people know.
Yes.
So, but it's not just the beast story. It is that they determined that the beast is controlled by somebody. Now they got to track down the people who control the beast, and then they get behind the organization behind the beast and the secret society and all that kind of stuff. I was like, oh, this is just awesome. It's my cup of tea. I'm glad that, and they was able to mix it all in there in a way that it made sense and at the same time exciting. So, I really enjoyed the story overall.
Right. I thought that, so me going into this, I'm going to be honest with you, Zoe. I chose Brotherhood of the Wolf because I thought that it was going to be like a werewolf in London or something like that. So I'm thinking that it is a beast, some type of werewolf, but a person, like howling at the moon and he turns into a werewolf, at night. That's what I'm thinking. Then when you first see the beast, you see these spikes on his back. And then you see that it's being controlled by someone else when he uses that little wolf call, the little, whistle.
Right.
And so that's when you're like, oh, okay, so it's controlled by someone else. But when they show you the beast, it's encased in something and you don't get to see it like right away, that you see maybe the spikes on it, or maybe they'll show the eye, but you don't realize what this actually is. So I was just totally surprised by it being a whole brotherhood of like this cult group, and the people that you're seeing, they're the ones that's involved. So it's not a werewolf. So it's just so much going on in the film. It's not what you think when you watch it. So it totally blew me by surprise when I realized and starting to see everything unravel.
Right.
Yeah.
So I wrote down what little bit I wrote down were some of the key scenes that happened in the movie. Okay. So one of the scenes was Manny's first fight we talked about. Manny's second fight. Yeah. I like Manny's second fight was when they gathered the hunting party around, and then some of the I guess local ruffians they wanted to test him, right? Because I guess that's what they do. So so they started to fight him, and he was so contemptuous, right, of them, and he was just barely paying them any attention, and yet beating them up. And there's at one point, this dude sticks out his tongue, and Manny sticks out his tongue with like mocking him. So that was so funny.
Right. That was. I thought that was funny when he just stuck his tongue out. That was great. That was really good. Yes, and he didn't talk a lot. Manny didn't. He didn't talk a lot. So when he talked for the first time, I was very surprised. So I rewound that part just to hear him talk again. But he's a man of very few words. But a lot of action. Right.
And I'm glad that, like, everybody assumed that he was a servant or a valet of some sort.
Yeah,
to Fronsac.
right.
And then Fronsac finally told him, no, he's my brother. He's going to stay here with me. He's my brother. And I get a sense that for whatever reason, Manny has developed a deep bond with Fronsac.
Absolutely.
And so, he wasn't, he didn't want to leave his side. He was going to protect him. And I think he sees his role as a friend, a brother, and a protector, because he's the one that gets off his horse first to fight these people, even though he knows that Fronsac can take care of himself. Like when you see at the end of the movie, the way Fronsac fights.
Wow. Wow. I was confused because I'm like, okay, he's dead, but he's not, and he comes back with the face paint, and I'm like, here we go. Right. And he fights just as good. So yes, he can take care of himself.
Right. And what was the other one? So there's I wrote flirting. Oh, so that's the flirting, I think, between Fronsac and what's her name?
Marianne?
Yeah, Marianne.
Yeah, Marianne.
That was basically it's the dialogue that they use when they talk to each other. So that was cute. But it also Fronsac is kind of dirty. So
yeah, let's talk about the woman in the veil. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you love Marianne. Then when it gets exposed, and because the pictures, because so Fronsac is he's a knight. He also, would you call him, a coroner type? Like he's able to break the body down.
Not exactly a coroner. He's definitely a Renaissance man. So
there you go.
He's described as a knight, but he's in this capacity, he's serving as a naturalist. But he's also a healer. He's also a philosopher, and he's a taxidermist. Right. So, and he uses all of those skills.
Taxiderm. There you go.
Right. In this movie. So he's, he's doing it all, but like, he loves Marianne, but at the same, he's an artist also. He loves Marianne, but like at the first chance he gets, he goes to the nearest brothel because he's not going to wait for Marianne.
That brothel was something else. When they opened up the door to, as I called it, Candyland, and like we said, all of the period costumes at that time, like it was awesome when you walked into the brothel, because it's, like I said, it's like candy. There's different colors, bright colors, and different types of women walking around. And then he meets, I can't think of her name, but the dark-haired one that basically saved his life, killed him and saved his life at the same time. Sylvia. Yes. Who he took a picture of, or drew a picture of her. And there's another thing I want to talk about, just to skip over. Like he's got that detective thing, because if you remember, there's a scene where he's got everyone's picture drawn, because he's trying to figure out who is responsible for this wolf and all this situation. So I like how he's sitting there and he's drawn everyone's picture and just kind of figuring out who it is.
Right.
So him being a Renaissance man as well, he was a good detective.
Right.
Yeah.
And trying to, like, he was sent there to assist with his knowledge, being a naturalist, is what we call a scientist. But he wasn't there to, like, he's not going to give them advice on how to hunt the wolf, even though he had his own ideas about how they could get people were calling it a wolf. And from the descriptions that he was getting, he slowly come to imagine that this is probably not a wolf. This is something else. It's some kind of beast, because it's not acting like a wolf. It's not being described as a wolf. It's described as too big, right? So it's not
spikes on the back.
Right. Yeah. In his estimation, it's probably not a wolf, but like nobody's listening to him. It's like they're determined that it's a wolf. They organized like the largest hunt that they ever had. And they killed like hundreds of wolves. But
all those wolves.
But it's wolves. Like, but the murders still keep happening.
Yes.
And so they send the king sends like his best hunter, this man at arms, because first they recall the army, because at first it was the French army that was in charge of the hunt. And so the king sends his man at arms and his retinue. And then the man at arms had made it clear, it was like, I'm going to do this without you. Like, he's going to do it without the naturalist. And
right. And how funny was that?
Right. And he was like taking it back. It's like, but you need me.
right. And the fact that they're like, King wants to wrap this up. Like, he wants to wrap this up. We don't want to deal with this. We want people to feel safe. So we're just going to lie about it. You know, we're going to have Fronsac use his taxidermy to make a regular wolf into this huge monster. And when they showed the wolf that he did a good job. But when they revealed that wolf, I'm like, wow. Because they show him, you know, taking out the innards of the wolf, and you got the fake eyes and all that, because he has to go along with this lie, because I mean, it's the king, you know?
Right.
And so they do that, but it's not the wolf.
Right.
It's not. It is not the wolf. The killings continue to go on. And then they think it's supernatural. Remember, some of them are like, they think it's something of spiritual something. And I remember Fronsac laughing at them, because that's not what it was. It's not anything spiritual or whatever, you know? So yeah.
Right. I think they were saying that it was the devil or something like that.
Yes, right, right. And he's laughing at them because he's like, no, it's not.
Right.
No, it's not.
Well, yeah. I think another thing was that they, when they were trying to describe it, to his mind, it's no such creature. Like, no such creature that you're describing exists. So that was one of the things he was laughing at.
Right.
And so he was kind of saying that he was kind of implying that they were making this up, right? Because he didn't want to believe that the animal that they were describing truly existed.
Right.
So, hold on. I'm looking at this note. Oh, so he's made to make a fake wolf, and then he's basically told to go to Africa. And then in the last minute, the Marquis came back. It's like, you know, you gotta come back, and Marianne wants you, because this is after Marianne had rejected him because, you know, she found evidence of him sleeping at the whorehouse. Wait a minute. What is the proper way of saying it? The sex worker house. So
yeah. We'll call it that. Candyland.
Right. He was having candy at Candyland, and he was like, "But wait a minute, let me explain." And I'm thinking to myself, "There's no way you can explain it. It looks exactly like you think it does."
Right. This is bad. This is bad all the way around. So him trying to explain, and then when he gets embarrassed, he's like, you know what, I'm out, you know? And so you think it's over between them, because she absolutely adores him, you know? And then finding that out, you know, everything her family was telling her ended up being true about him. So, and he has no defense whatsoever.
And
he draws everything.
Even, you know, at this stage, you know, his her brother seems overly attached to her, right? It kind of reminded me of Scarface. You mentioned that movie.
That's right.
So you watched that movie already, right?
Yes.
So in Scarface, you know, you had
his sister.
Yeah, it was Scarface's sister, and he was like, he didn't want her to date anybody. I was trying to think of Scarface's name, but he didn't want her to date anybody, right? It was like anytime somebody had shown some interest, he'd chase them off, right? And and so what's her name's brother? So Marianne's brother was the same way. So Jean-Francois, I think that's his name. Jean-Francois was like a jealous brother, just like Montana, just like Tony Montana, right? Was jealous.
Tony Montana, there we go. Yes.
And wouldn't let anybody near their sisters. So and then later on in the movie, you see why. It's like he's just it's just a total creepazoid.
Very attached to his sister and in love with her. He's in love with her. You know?
Right. And that's a problem.
Yes, that is a big problem. When they're trying to kill her, because remember, she threatens to go to the king and tell on them, And so remember they serve her that milk and he's like, don't drink it, and goes in
Right.
her room.
Right.
And it's just, it thinks like tries to grape her or something,
Yeah, he does.
But
I don't think he tried to rape her. I think he succeeded. And then he almost kills her, but he doesn't kill her. But
right.
I know
thought
he beats
killed
her
her
up
at that point.
pretty bad.
Yes, he does.
So there was another thing I really liked was the beast fight that they had. So when when Francois decides to go and fight, or Fronsac, I meant, when he and Manny and the Marquis, they decide that just the three of them, they're going to go and they're going to hunt this beast, and they set a series of traps for the beast.
Right.
So while the beast is like chasing him around and trying to kill him, they lead him into the trap, and the beast gets hurt, but the beast doesn't get captured. But that was all of that was pretty great. And then Manny sort of goes off by himself to track the beast down, and then he gets surrounded, and then he has to fight all of these people, but he's greatly outnumbered, and then he's shot, and wow, that was shocking.
That hurt me so bad, because I'm thinking that he's going to be there in the end. You already figured how it's going to end, and when they shot him and he ends up dying, I was like, please say he's going to come back to life, please. But he didn't. He dies.
Right.
He dies, and it breaks Fronsac's heart. And I love how he made sure he did the burial exactly how he would have been buried as what is he, a Mohawk or Mohawk Indian?
He was Iroquois, I think.
Okay. So he does the burial first thing in the morning, before the sun comes up. He burns them and does that. But that shocked me. I didn't think he was going to die. I really didn't.
Right. That was pretty impressive, brave thing to do. And so,
man, and then
and Fronsac is lit, like he wants to murder everybody.
He is. Ooh, yes, he wanted. Where is this at? Where is this spot at right here? I mean, and he's off to go and get revenge.
Right, and he goes twice. Like, first time he goes out and he kills a couple of people, and then he goes and finds out like the main hideout, and then he goes ham. He's just right. So he had his knife. He got the spinning knives, and all his particular style of martial arts. That was fun to watch. It was just killing everybody around, right?
Right. And you don't realize it at that point, you don't see him fighting like that. So then when you see that he can go off too, like Manny is protecting him, but not, like he can hold his own. And when you see him going ham on them, and he has his own martial art moves, it was just, like I said, the fight scenes were just great.
Right.
They were choreographed greatly. They were really good.
Right. So, I loved all of that. Then there was a point where he was captured, and then I forgot what they did to him.
They, when he got captured, remember, the woman that came in there and was like, he needs to eat something. Whatever he ate, remember, he died.
Right. That the woman is Sylvia.
Okay, yes, Sylvia is the woman.
I think she gave him something to eat, and it was to make it look like that he died. Yes. So he, to their eyes, he apparently died, because they was going to execute him anyway, and they were kind of upset that they didn't get to execute him. Right. And they buried him, and then Sylvia came with her men and dug up his body.
Yes, I was. When he died, I was shocked because he kept coughing after he was eating the food. Right. Then he just dies. But I didn't realize that until you see him in a coffin when they want to come and see him, and he's got stuff all on his face, and I'm like, oh my God, he really is dead. Right. So I'm wondering, so where do we go from? Like, they killed two of the main characters. At that point, I'm like, this film is something else. They killed two of the main characters. Right. Until you go and see that she had her men dig him up right away. Right. And until you see him again. Right. You see him again. He puts on more face paint. He goes hams again. Yes. But this time he names everybody, and they take off the mask, because he breaks into their cult. He breaks into their cult. Yes. And they're all wearing masks, and he starts naming names,
because he knows who the cult members are now. Because I think he decided that he knew that what's his name? Hold on, let me find his name. He knew that Jean-Francois was one of the main actors. So he decided that if he was involved, then some of these other players must be involved. And he also got a clue from the guy that he visited when he was in Paris. So he started to put the pieces together. And that's when he started naming names. These are the people in this cult. Little did they know that it was the army that was listening in on this confession, sort of, or these accusations. And then Jean-Francois, he took off his mask, and then that's when he started to he took off his whatever,
the little arm thing. And remember, before that though, when he went to go and attack his sister, remember he takes it off. Right. And when you see the fingernails, because you see him in his getup before, but you don't know that it is him. Right. And so you see the fingernail. And when I saw that, I'm like, oh my gosh, he's the one that's controlling the wolf. Right. He's the one that was calling the wolf, because they always show his fingernails. Right. And so, at that point, you do know when he attacks the sister that he's the one that is controlling the wolf.
What I liked about, like, when I mentioned the overall story, is that they start to slowly feed you the clues, right? So one of the clues that they feed you was that the wolf was being controlled, or that the beast was being controlled. They didn't tell you who was controlling him, because whoever was controlling him was in a mask, and you could see his gnarly hand. He had this messed up right hand. Yes. And so you could see the messed up gnarly hand come up and blow the whistle, and it was controlling the wolf, because the wolf, the beast, would go back to wherever it came from. Right. So that was one of the clues. Another clue was when I keep messing up his name, Jean-Francois, he had a special pistol that fired silver bullets.
That's right.
And but that was the biggest clue. But you kind of get a hint that it was him when Manny was shot, because all these other people that was attacking Manny, they was attacking him with these kind of knives or these claws. Yes. And somebody shot him, and so you're asking yourself, well, who would shoot him, right? Because these guys, they can't afford a gun, so who was shooting him? So that was another clue. And then the reveal was really when you saw, what's his name? When you saw Grégoire Fronsac, when you saw Fronsac, when he found the bullet, when he dug the bullet out of Manny's body. And then you could put the clues together of who was the one that's doing all this, and that's when Fronsac started naming names. It's like, it was you, Jean-Francois, all of you did it. I know you did. You're guilty. Right. I'm going to kill every single one of you.
Right. Because Jean-Francois bragged about the gun and bragged about silver bullets. Right. He bragged about that in the beginning of the film when you get to meet him. So him pulling out that silver bullet and seeing it, at that point, because like you said, the movie has a lot of they let you know, they lead you and let you know before you know. But the beast, though, when we find out what the beast is, was sad.
We don't really find out. So what's interesting is that the beast goes back to his owner, and Fronsac and the Marquis, they track the beast down to its lair, and that's when they kill the beast. And so the beast is done. Right. And this is not that this is historical, but what had happened in real life. I'll read it in a trivia later on anyway. But what the beast is, what you call it? The king goes out and he sends his hunter, and the hunter claims that he's killed the beast, and he says it was this wolf. And the king has decided, okay, that's it. It's done. But the killings continue, and the people say, he's not dead because he's still killing people. And the king is like, I don't know what you're talking about. I told you I killed the beast.
Right. No, he didn't.
As far as we're concerned, the matter is closed. Now you keep talking, I'm going to kill you too.
Right, exactly. Like, we're going to dead this. No one is to talk about the town. Right. None of it. Yes. Right. Yes.
So, yes. But yeah, those were all great. And then when the people are unmasked, another part that I like is like, so you had the captain that was in charge of the army in the beginning of the film to hunt the beast, and he's back now to arrest the people that were part of the conspiracy. Right. And now he is so happy because the people that had dismissed him and put him down,
That's
is
right.
now they're all now under arrest, and he's
That's
like
right.
giddy about arresting them.
So happy to get his revenge back. Absolutely, yes, yes, very true, because they did make fun of him at first. So him having that last laugh and arresting them was great in their red robes and wolf masks that they wore.
Right. So that was I think that's all I can think of. Do you have any more parts that you want to go over?
So let me ask you this. Okay, so it said, so it was, so you're saying that the beast was a lion that was brought back from Africa by Francois, raised it from a cub, and then it was it was trained to wear spiked metal armor.
Right.
Okay.
That is what I think. That's what the movie wants you to draw. The conclusion that they want you to draw. Because we never see the beast out of its armor.
Never.
But it's kind of, and it never actually roars like you would expect a lion to roar.
It doesn't. It doesn't at all.
Right. So they kind of want to maintain the mystery of what the beast is, but they lead you to believe that because Jean-Francois, he got injured when he was in Africa hunting lions. And then when he gets back from Africa, that's when these killings happen, where they start happening. And then, the beast is absolutely huge. He's covered in his armor, so you don't get to see exactly what he looks like.
No, right.
I will only say that the CGI, even for that time, was pretty bad. Because remember, this is around the same time that The Matrix came out. And it was long after Jurassic Park. So obviously the technology was there to make it so much better. But it wasn't that good. But I think the smart thing that they did was that they didn't show the beast all that much. It was only near like near the end of the film where you got to see a lot of the beast, right?
Yeah,
so,
you see the eye, you see the armor, right? You see him petting the beast and then having to kill the beast. But they don't. And you're right, the CGI was a little flimsy with the the way it moved around, but. Overall, I'm so happy that I watched this film because this is a hidden treasure.
Right.
It's a really good film.
It is so good. So if you hadn't seen the film yet, I'm sorry I spoiled it for you, but you gotta go and watch it. Catch it on. I think it's on. I mentioned where it can be found right now because I know it's streaming somewhere, but you can still buy it off of Amazon or whatever. But it is a really good movie. Don't do like I did and get the extended version. It's not that good. It's not Lord of the Rings good, but it is because I'm not exactly sure what was added because I don't remember the original version. But there was a scene when. Fronsac, when he was asleep with Sylvia, because that's where he slept. He slept. Did they call it a bordello? Is that what you call it? Oh,
yes.
Yeah. He slept at the bordello. That was his house. And so it was. And so he's asleep with Sylvia, and then he had a dream where Sylvia was over his dead body, and then she had a sword. You saw that part?
Yes,
that was not one of the added parts. But I think with this scene, it was kind of implying that she was a witch. So like I said, I thought that was added, but apparently it wasn't. That was part of the original film. So so he had a vision that she stabs him and then he wakes up. Right. But I think that's to allude what happens later on in the movie where she poisons him and then revives him later on. But that was
and that was a really cool scene.
Right. And then at the end, another mystery is like, who did Sylvia work for? And she basically told Francois that she worked for the Vatican. She didn't say it outright, but she basically told him that. Right. But because she would talk about the Pope and wanting to tell the Pope about him and all that. So she did do that. Right. And you did put this in the notes so that you can it's available on AMC. Right. The Brotherhood of the Wolf is available. AMC Plus, yeah. So you had it there. All right. So I'm going to talk about this and that's going to lead us into the trivia. So I watched one of the extras on the DVD. So there was a book written by Michael Louis, and he basically wrote a book called The Beast of Gevaudan. And he thinks that the beast, he knows, as far as he's concerned, he knows that it wasn't a wolf. Like it's impossible for it to be a wolf because it's entirely too large. It had markings on it that doesn't match like what a wolf is. So he believes that it was a wolf dog hybrid that was raised from a pup and was trained, because
Okay.
A wolf can't be trained. A lion can't be trained to that degree. Like you can get a lion to get on a stool, and you can get a lion to let put your head in its mouth with him not clamping down, and you can get a lion to walk in a circle. But you can't get a lion to like attack this person, but not that person. It's not
right. With a whistle.
Right, with the whistle.
With the whistle.
And a lion. If there are no other lions around, then the lion will eventually going to turn on you because it's a wild animal. Absolutely. So the author thinks it was a canine of some sort, like I said, a wolf dog hybrid that was able to grow much larger than a normal wolf or dog. Well, I seen a gigantic dog one time when I live around Washington D.C., so I was driving downtown and I saw this absolute gigantic dog. It was like it had the mass of a full-grown man. Like if you can imagine like a 7-foot man walking on all fours, that's what this dog looked like. It was gigantic. Wow. And I've seen a dog like that before, or people talk about such a dog. But I was like, I couldn't think of the breed that it might have been, but it was huge. Okay. So dogs can get pretty big. He said that like when they examined the beast after it was killed, it had 42 teeth like a dog. People would describe the beast as wagging its tail just before an attack, because some people survived the attack, so they was able to describe and talk about the beast behavior. Okay. So wolves do not wag their tails while they're hunting or before they're about to make a kill. Their tails are perfectly still. But dogs always give away what they're feeling. So when dogs wag their tail, that means they're excited. It doesn't mean that they're happy. That's a lot of people. I think that people get confused. It doesn't mean that they're happy. It means that they're excited. So they're either if they're wagging their tails and you see them, they're either excited to see you and they want to be your friend, or they're excited to bite you. They're real excited about biting and killing you because that's what it feels like doing at that time. And then it had people describe a black patch on the beast's back. The author says there's no animal that has that particular type of marking, and that occurs in nature. I don't know how true that is, but he did the study. I didn't. And he also said that the beast has a heart-shaped patch on his chest, and that's something that's typical of dogs. So that's why he concluded that it's probably a wolf-dog hybrid. Okay. And he thinks that there were two masters. He in the movie they had like just one dude controlling the wolf, but he thinks there were two of them. He thinks there was one highborn dude, and then the person that actually kept the beast was remember the crazy man that you saw throughout the whole movie, and he was the guy that kind of took care of the beast. He thinks that was the guy that was actually controlling the beast, telling it who to attack and whatnot. And he doesn't,
the guy that was crying when or very upset when he shot the beast. Right, the guy that was with him. So that was a real guy. So what actually happened, well, in the real story, in the true events, it was that guy that claimed to have tracked down and shot the beast. And I forgot the reason why that he decided he had to kill the beast, but it was because he would come and he says, "Yeah, I'm the one that killed the beast. Here's the beast is actually dead now." And this is after the king had killed his version of the beast. So the author believes that basically this guy and the highborn guy were both sadists. They just enjoy seeing people getting like bloody and eat up and whatnot. It didn't have any conspiracy theory or anything like that. He didn't believe in any of the things that the director had put in the movie. He just believed that it was just two sadists, and they was able to train this beast to attack people because they get off on these attacks. And that sounds intriguing. No, that's wouldn't it be cool to make a movie about those two guys?
That's what he would prefer. He would prefer a movie that showed the true events. But at the same time, he said that he didn't think he probably the why they made this movie the way it is because a movie that's just about two sadists probably wouldn't be as interesting as a conspiracy. But he liked this movie, but he would really wanted to see a movie that told the true events, or that was closer to the true events and less of the fantastical elements. So, but he was glad that they made a movie about, because this is a story that's famous in France and people talk about it. This is something they teach in history class. And he said, finally, somebody made a movie about these events. Wow. Yeah, I didn't know it was a true event until you sent me the notes and all that. And
But yeah, yeah, this was a good movie. Still a good movie. The whole myth of the wolf being in or the beast, you know, in the armor and all that. It was just really good.
Right.
They did a good job.
I'm
Yeah.
glad you liked it.
They made a good, yes.
I did it again. I got two. I got a twofer this time. I got a twofer. I got my son and I got you. I got you both to enjoy the movie. I got a twofer.
Yes.
So right after this, we're going to talk about the trivia. And we're back to talk about the trivia. And you, as I like to tell my audience, it's from IMDb. I started to realize that I enjoy IMDb because it's a one-stop shop for trivia. But at the same time, you kind of have to look at it. You know, you can't just throw it on the screen and start reading it off, because then you realize, oh, this don't sound right. This is incorrect. Right. You might have to cross-reference. I don't do any cross-references. But it's okay. I would say that it's mostly plausible. I'm going to put it that way.
Okay.
So why don't you start us off on the trivia?
Okay. Let's see. Okay, so to prepare for his role, Mark Dacascos learned how to ride a horse, studied Mohawk Indian culture, and became fluent in French.
Yes, that he did all of that.
Okay.
Oh, and I don't know how Indian culture break down, but I think elsewhere in here and where I read it, he was also Iroquois. So maybe a Iroquois is a type of Mohawk, or a Mohawk is a type of Iroquois. That I should have studied more. Anyways.
Okay. No problem.
Well, I'm glad he's so dedicated to the role that, you know, he went out and he learned some French. What he did not have to do was learn martial arts, because that's why they brought him to the movie. Right. Where I first encountered him was in another not great movie, Double Dragon. It's not a great video game movie.
Double Dragon.
Yeah.
I know I've seen him somewhere.
Yeah. He was.
Yeah, I've seen him somewhere. Yeah.
Right. He was one of the brothers on Double Dragon. It was a video game movie based on this game where you basically play one of two brothers. You just go, it's a beat 'em up game. So you just, the side scrolling beat 'em up game. You go and you just beat people along the way till you get to the end of the game and rescue somebody's girlfriend. But, that movie was not great, but, but then, every time I see him, I've been delighted. So the other movie, the one that I like the most is that he was in a series called The Crow Highway to Heaven. And I talked about this in the Crow episode. Okay. But I love that series and I loved him in it. And his martial arts is always on point. And I think most people know him from The Iron Chef. That's his jam right there.
Oh, shoot. Goodness gracious. There we go. There we go. There we freaking go. There we go. I watch Food Network shows. Yes, The Iron Chef. Wow, that's him.
That's him.
That's him. That's him. Yes. Thank you so much. I just was like, I've seen him somewhere. Okay. Let's see the next trivia question or trivia from IMDb. Okay, you do it.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. It's a huge paragraph. Sorry. I don't want to touch.
Okay. Okay. B. Go ahead.
Right. There actually was a beast of Gevaudan, La Bête du Gevaudan, which was a real wolf-like creature that prowled the Ravaging and South Dordogne. I didn't practice these pronunciation. And South Dordogne regions of France during the years of 1764 and 1767, killing about 100 people, often in bizarre circumstances. Historical records of its attacks, which served as a loose inspiration for the movie, allege that it was a wolf-like creature, though often described as with fanciful or demonic features, including an unusual color, a supposed resistance to bullets, and cloven hooves. Various explanations for the beast's nature and behavior has been proposed over the years, ranging from a trained mastiff wolf hybrid to a member of an exotic species like an Asian hyena. In the film, the animal is a lion in spiked metal armor. No evidence has ever been found to suggest that the beast was anything other than an unusually large and aggressive wolf. In fact, some modern researchers blame the attacks, which sometimes occurred rather distant areas within a short time, not on a single animal, but on multiple wolves stalking the region. Officially, as in the film, the beast was a large gray wolf killed by the king's hunters in September of 1765. However, further attacks plagued the region until June 1967, when a local hunter shot a wolf, which, upon examination, was found to have human flesh in its stomach, and how is now generally believed to have been the real beast of Gevaudan.
Wow.
So there you have it.
Goodness. Okay. Let's see. All the primary characters except the Native American Manny actually existed and lived during the reign of King Louis XV.
Yep. So
wow.
I liked that. They didn't make up too many characters, and the one character that they did make up was totally awesome.
Right.
Universal Pictures paid $2 million for the rights to distribute this movie in the United States, and this movie went on to gross $11.2 million in limited theatrical release in the United States, making it the 6th highest grossing French language movie of all time in the U.S. This movie also did brisk video and DVD sales inside the U.S. So, yeah, and I was one of them. I was one of them that bought a DVD.
Let's see. De Fronsac travels on a ship aptly named Frère Loup, French for brother wolf.
Beautifully read.
Thank you. I tried. Brother wolf. Okay, we got to see that ship. Okay. I
think that's exactly how you pronounce it. And then when I wrote this, I was like, wait a minute, I've seen Frère before. And I remember, there's Friar Tuck. But that's not where I remember it from. I remember it from people who like to say, au contraire, mon frère. That's where I know that from.
Okay. Yes.
So mon frère doesn't mean my friend, or maybe it has multiple meanings, but it could also mean my brother. Right. So I learned something. Anyway, continuing.
Frère Loup. Okay.
Fronsac's spinning blades were accomplished on set by having the actor hold a knob attached to the hilt of the swords between his fingers. The knobs can be most clearly seen after he scalps the gypsy leader.
That's right.
But the spinning blades just adds flair to the action. Yes. It looked really good.
I thought it was really cool too. Let's see. Jean-Francois whip sword was inspired by Ivy's in the video game series Soul Calibur. I remember that game. Really? Yes.
That was.
I remember that game.
It has a lot of video game connections. So, like when I saw that, I was like, "I've seen that weapon before." Right? And it was it's so improbable and so sweet at the same time, and I liked seeing it. And it has another video game connection. So, actually, it's more like the video game, an element of the video game was inspired by this movie. So, in Shadow of the Tomb Raider, there is a quest where you have to kill this beast that's going around and hunting these people in this region. And there are similar beasts like it, but this one is just like particularly gnarly. So, you go and when you finally find the beast, it's basically some kind of larger version of the other beast, like a large like cat animal or something with armor on, wearing armor. And I was like, I know where they got this from.
That's cool. Okay.
So it reminded me of this movie when I saw it in the game. So lots of video game connections,
I guess.
Despite playing a Native American in this movie, Mark Dacascos is actually part Native Hawaiian.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I can see that. Let's see. A deleted scene in a DVD revealed that Monica Bellucci's character, Sylvia, was in fact the only person who knew the whole truth to both sides of the story regarding the beast. She secretly watched several members of the Brotherhood while they were visiting the bordello, and she manipulated Fronsac into finding and killing the beast. Her character is believed to have worked for the Vatican. Yeah, you said that. Yeah.
Also, she had told something of, I don't know, it wasn't her. It was when Fronsac visited the bordello when he was going home for the night. And he asked about Jean. I can't remember his name. Hold on. Let me scroll up to where the names are. Yeah, that dude. So,
Jean-Francois.
yeah. So when he asked about him, they was like, no, he doesn't want to be touched. He only likes to watch. So that kind of tells you two things. One, he was, I think that suggested that he was deeply in love with someone else to the point where he wouldn't mess with the other women. But I think what it really tells you is that he's disfigured in some kind of way. Like it's more than him just missing an arm. And and the scene that you alluded to when he took the thing off, like Jean-Francois, I'm saying his name wrong, but Jean, he he had some kind of corset on that wrapped his arm next to his body. I think he basically wrapped his arm behind his back and he tightened it so that it made it appear that he was one-handed.
Absolutely.
And that I guess he's trying to convince people that the lion had torn off his arm or something, but in reality, it's just he got his whole right arm got mauled, and for whatever reason, he decided to let his fingernails grow obscenely long.
Right, nasty looking, like nasty.
Because your hand can't be evil if it ain't got obscenely long fingernails. You could clip those, but he's like, nah, it ain't evil enough. I gotta have them long. It's like you could just be a mad person, but it's like, nah, I gotta have relations with my sister. I'm not evil enough. Right.
Yeah, that arm was creepy. Yeah, but he did have it tied up in a corset.
Right.
Yeah. You're Jay.
Oh, I'm Jay. Is it my fault? Is it my turn?
Yeah, it's not your fault, but it is your turn.
Vincent Cassel initially refused to play the part of the villain in this movie. Only when the role was rewritten to make the character creepier and more twisted, including an incestuous attraction to his sister, the actor became interested in the role. So he was like, nope, not evil enough, not evil enough. And they was like, well, how about if he wants to do his sister? And he was like, you know what? That might work.
Ding, ding, ding. Ding, 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 ding. That's weird. Isn't that weird, though? That's weird.
I guess,
yeah,
I guess he didn't want to be bored. That's what it was. He didn't want to be bored, and creating a most evil character intrigued him. I guess at that time.
Well, that's most evil,
right?
So let's see. In the movie, John Chastel is an old healer who, along with his daughter, cooperates with the villains to take care of the trained beast. The real Jean Chastel was a local farmer, innkeeper, and hunter. He had 5 daughters and 4 sons, and was the man who, according to reports in 1767, at the age of 59, killed a huge wolf, generally through not universally considered the real beast of Gevaudan, as opposed to the animal shot by the king's hunters in 1765, after whose death the attacks still went on for 2 years. Chastel had been previously arrested for hindering the official hunters sent by the crown, reportedly sending them into a bog as sort of a prank, as there was considerable animosity between them and the locals.
Yeah, and I can imagine that.
That's
you got the army coming into your neighborhood. You know how soldiers are, especially back in that time. They're kind of rude. They just go into your house and eat your food, that sort of thing. So I can imagine there being animosity between them. So yeah, and he's fooling around with the king's men. It's like, yeah, he's over in that bog over there. You see him? Do you see him yet? I swear he's there. But this is the guy they said is probably really controlled the beast. And it was this guy who had killed the beast. And they said that, I think in some place else it said that it seemed strange that a guy, like they sent like 40,000 of the king's men to hunt for the beast, and they were not able to kill the beast. Like the beast continued to kill throughout that entire time it was being hunted. And they were not able to find the beast. But this guy with 2 other guys went out and they cornered the beast, and the beast was like 30 meters away, and he killed the beast. Like the beast was there, like he was waiting for his master to do something, and his master shot him. Right. So people were always suspicious of Jean Chastel and his relation to the beast.
Okay.
But that's it for the trivia. And I hope you found that interesting. If you have some comments about what you heard, if you learned anything, then or if you have anything additional, go ahead and hit me on the email. I'll let you know what that is near the end of the show. And up next, we're going to talk about what the critics thought.
Ooh.
All right, we're back. We're going to talk about what the critics thought about the Brotherhood of the Wolf. I almost forgot the name of the movie for some reason because that's how memory works. The critics from Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 73%. The audience score was 78%, so very well regarded. And on IMDb reviews, it has a 7.0 out of 10. So there's a combination of favorable and unfavorable reviews of this movie. So I'm going to read a couple to start us off. Sarah Michelle Fetters from MovieFreak.com wrote, "Leave it to the French to find a piece or a place for kung fu in an 18th century corsets and werewolves epic, and give them credit for including a generous helping of sex, baldiness, and a dash of Native American mysticism too, just to make things interesting." So yeah, and she's absolutely right, except for the werewolf part. There were no werewolves. She's conflating an animal for werewolf, but I forgive her because it does have some element of the werewolf trope. It's just that the werewolf is separated. You have a wolf and a man as two distinct characters instead of a man and a werewolf being the same character. So I'll give her a pass. And then up next is David Edelson from Slate. He wrote, "Instead of fluid acrobatics, we get hyperbolic montages of kicking feet, somersaulting torsos, and fists connecting with faces." So he kind of felt like this the way Zachary felt about the action sequences.
Okay. Let's see. Matt Broomsome from Film Frenzy. "Movies that adopt an everything but the kitchen sink approach are often maddening messes, but this French import is reminiscent of countless other films and yet still manages to retain its own swagger of originality." And I absolutely agree.
Yes.
Like it's a little bit of everything, and that's what makes it really good.
It's a melting pot that makes a delicious bowl of gumbo.
Absolutely. It's for everyone. And then Jeffrey Overstreet from Looking Closer, "The hero feels free to sleep with any prostitute, even as he's wooing the one he calls his true love. Isn't there a conflict of interest there?" Well,
yes, there is a conflict.
Yeah,
you don't have
of course there is.
You don't have to butter his bread.
There is. He was wrong, but he still got his girl. So
he's definitely a flawed character, like way flawed, way flawed.
Yes, he is.
And I think his logic was, well, she ain't mine yet.
Right. And she wasn't.
But it's polite to wait for a firm rejection before you go straight to the bordello.
Yes. I agree with that. But he wasn't going to turn that down.
His reasoning was, man, a man has needs.
Right. He couldn't say no to Sylvia.
He ran into that whorehouse like he had blue balls, like they were gigantic.
He was
gigantic blue balls.
Wasn't he happy when he was there? Like you didn't. I thought the relationship between him and Miriam, like he didn't want her no more because he was so pleased there. And like you said, he slept with Sylvia every single night.
Right.
That's who he was with. So that was his side piece. Yes.
And I think even more, fascinating is like Sylvia was totally cool with this, right? She knew what her role was. It's like, look, I'm just a spy. I'm just here for the night. And then after this whole affair is over, I'm going back to my bosses, to my next assignment. She was James Bond.
Right. And she even met the girl Miriam in the church.
Yeah. And told her.
Told her.
Right.
He loves you and you need to go see about him. Right.
So
she was good with the situation. Yes.
Right. I think she did that more for Francois than she did for the girl, right? Than she did for Miriam.
Okay.
But the other, because she liked him, but she didn't like him.
Yes. No. She was quite happy with their arrangement. Right.
Yes. And so that's it. Finally, Brotherhood of the Wolf is, as of this recording, available on AMC Plus. That's it for today. Next week, we have that episode that was postponed from last week. That's the episode with a very special guest in the form of the woman known as M from Verbal Diorama. That movie that we'll talk about is airplane. I got to say it with excitement because there's an exclamation point at the end of airplane. Follow us on Twitter or TikTok at Backlick Cinema, or on Facebook or Instagram at Backlick Cinema Podcast. And if you're on Mastodon, at Backlick Cinema at mstdn.party, explore how to use Mastodon. Use Facebook to, or not Facebook, but use, what do you call that? Google, or I'm messing up. I can't remember what it's called. YouTube would teach you how to use Mastodon. You'll be all right. Don't forget that you can contact us with any questions, comments, or suggestions at fanmail@backlickcinema.com. So, do you have, Rossie, any additional plugs?
Yes. You can catch me, Alex Haynes, and John DiGregorio this Thursday, the 16th. All three of us will be together, and Movie Lovers Unite have not been together since October when we reviewed The Lost Boys, and now you can catch us Thursday. We're going to talk about the new movie Tetris.
That's awesome. Well, now you know the date, because this will actually be released after that show. But now that they know the dates, they can go back and watch it, and it'll be awesome for them. It'll be awesome time. So I know that you've enjoyed our guest, Rossie McCree. So please listen to Rossie Talks Movies and everything in between. And what was the other show you had on Twitch?
And Rossie's Clubhouse.
Rossie's Clubhouse.
Yes.
And also catch her on Movie Lovers Unite. You can get that wherever you're listening to this podcast. That's where you can find Movie Lovers Unite. Believe me, it matters. Be safe. Share a movie from yesteryear with your family. Hug your loved ones. And if you're going to be anything, be outstanding.